Heads up, folks. Interest rates are falling. But as of September 23rd, 2024, you can still lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. That's a pretty big deal, because when rates drop, so can the interest you earn on your cash. A bond account allows you to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high-yield and investment-grade corporate bonds. So while other people are watching their returns shrink, you can sit back with regular interest payments. But you might want to act fast, because your yield is not locked in until you invest. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account, only at public.com. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at Bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
I walk a straight line, shackled and chained. Oh, gruesome Gertie is calling my name. There is no mercy in this penitentiary. Just ask the Hill String Gang or Angola 3. I'm here for life, I'm here to die. Inside these walls, inside the wire. And when the wolf cries, I know it's over. Oh, bloody Angola. Oh, bloody Angola.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bloody Angola, a podcast 142 years in the making, the complete story of America's bloodiest prison. I'm Jim Chapman, and I have an announcement to make. If you follow Bloody Angola podcast on Facebook, you already are aware of this. If you do not, I'm going to read a post I put shortly after dropping episode 1 of the Brandon Scott Laverne podcast last week, and then I'll provide a little clarification. And it reads as follows: to all who read this, I need to provide an update on next week's drop. This is lengthy, so bear with me. After much thought and deliberation, I've made the decision to suspend subsequent episodes of The Hunt for the Cajun Killer. When I started this series, it was with nothing but the best intent. I, like many others, had seen the Dateline series when it first aired way back in 2013, and my heart absolutely went out to the victims in this case. My intent with the first episode of this series was to put a face on a victim who I personally felt got a little lost in the impending media frenzy. Most people that have messaged me did not even realize these two cases were related, that were not in the Lafayette area. Victims surround all true crime cases, and I do my best to focus on putting a human face on these victims. They come in many forms and are on both sides of a crime. In this particular series, what I wanted to do differently than any other podcast on the subject was to focus on the things I felt were not as well known or really focused on. The amazing job that law enforcement did, especially as it relates to spotting those items in the back of that white truck and finding a link. The leadership displayed by Mickey Shinnick's sister, who, during what was a horrific time for her and her family, was able to organize search parties under unimaginable circumstances. Finally, the massive response from the public. Hundreds of volunteers, many who had never met Mickey, just showing up, doing whatever they could to help. Those are the things I believe no one should ever forget. I have a lot of love for the Cajun community and people, so much so I married one. Shout out Arnerville, Louisiana. I'm proud of the Cajun community as a whole, and I wanted to spotlight it to the world. Unfortunately, to tell that story, you have to tell the whole story. I did not realize how against this the families directly affected were. When you go into a project with the best of intentions, you sometimes assume that everyone knows exactly what you are doing and why you are doing it. While I may disagree with some of the things that were brought to my attention regarding podcasters who focus on the true crime genre, intentions can vary from person to person. I also feel the proper step in this very unique situation is to respect the wishes of those who, even to this day, are victims. My thoughts and prayers now and will always be with the victims of violent crimes and the families of those affected. I will provide a more clear explanation on next Thursday's drop, which will focus on a different subject. Thank you so much for your support. And that was that Facebook post. When I tell all of you, I was inside my own head for a day and a half regarding what step to make in this situation. It was not easy. I do not take it lightly because there are things about this case that I feel like need to be known. However, after praying on it, I felt like this was the right thing to do. That being said, every bit of information that I referenced and was going to reference can be found online. And if you'll go to the first episode, we provide sources for everything we discuss. And those sources are linked in that first episode, which will stay up. So you're welcome to go through that and learn the story for yourself. Now, I had obviously planned to release that second episode this week. That's obviously not going to happen now, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to bring you something today. Unfortunately, I was not left with enough time to prepare what I would consider a good episode to put out there that was brand new for you of Bloody Angola. But I'm going to give you something, and something that relates to prison. Now, I am also host of Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, a very different podcast in a lot of ways, but some of these episodes directly relate to prison. And of course, people that end up in prison. And one of those is the episode that I'm bringing you today. And it is about Dr. Stephen Matthews, who was a cardiologist, and he was convicted in over a dozen sexual assaults of victims he met on Hinge and Tinder. It was one of the most prolific sexual predator cases in U.S. history, and it was originally dropped on Exposed back in September. So some of my audience here on Bloody Angola overlaps and some does not. So for those of you that have not heard it, I'm going to play that episode for you today. Now, next week, Christmas week, we will not have an episode of Bloody Angola dropping. The day after Christmas is our typical drop day, but I'm not going to drop an episode the day after Christmas. So your next drop will be January 2nd, and it's going to be a brand new episode of Bloody Angola. I have something really good planned. I'm not going to announce it yet, but I promise you, you're going to be into it. So thank you for understanding, first of all, those of you that put the unbelievably kind messages on Facebook. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this episode that I'm bringing you now. And if you do, go check out Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. Give us a follow. So here it is, Dr. Stephen Matthews. Dating apps. They are this generation's version of the blind date. For the women who matched with Dr. Stephen Matthews, they thought they had found the man of their dreams, at least on paper. He was smart, attractive, and wealthy. At just 36, he was one of the top cardiologists in the entire state of Colorado. The women who would meet with the young doctor were excited. They could not wait to tell their closest friends how the first date went. But it was what they could not remember about that first date that was so shocking and would change the lives of over a dozen women forever. Welcome to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite, Unhinged, Dr. Stephen Matthews. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. I am your host, Jim Chapman. Thank you for joining me today. And before we get into today's episode, I have a global celebrity member from our Patreon that I need to shout out. That is Miss Tiffany Lynn Hubert. And y'all, Tiffany is from Overland, Missouri. And I'm a history buff. And when it comes to y'all joining the Patreon, I like to look at where you're coming from. And if I'm not familiar with that particular town, I like to Google it and kind of check out the history on it. And a couple of things I found interesting about Overland, Missouri. Daniel Boone actually built a cabin there. It was a 1-bedroom cabin that he lived in. And Overland is also the home of the National Military Records Office, which had a huge fire in 1973. It destroyed like 18 million records, making it the single largest loss of government files in the history of the United States. Some pretty interesting stuff. And thank you again, Miss Tiffany, for joining as a global celebrity member. So let's get into today's.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for 50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Episode, and y'all, I'm telling you, this one is going to blow your mind. I'm going to call it Unhinged, and you'll see why as we go along in the story. Now, in my opinion, the top profession in which trust is just absolutely paramount is in the field of medicine, and specifically that of a medical doctor. Now, not only does a medical doctor have access to your most intimate history as far as your health, but typically the trust is so great that your doctor can pretty much tell you to take any drug on God's green earth to heal whatever it is you're in the doctor's office for, and you're probably going to take it without even questioning it, right? There's that trust there. They can put you to sleep. They can have access to touch you completely nude in some cases, and we trust that they're good people. They're not going to take advantage of these situations. And look, there's millions and millions of good doctors in the world. And then there's Dr. Stephen Matthews. Let me tell you, there's not a ton of information out there on Dr. Stephen Matthews prior to him actually becoming a doctor. What I can tell you is he was born on October 8th of 1987. He is 6 feet tall. He's about 188 pounds. And he got his medical degree from New York Medical College in 2014. And he was a practicing cardiologist in Denver, Colorado. And he was 35 years old when he was arrested on March 22nd of 2023 and charged with 3 counts of sexual assault for having sex with a woman who told police she had no memory of engaging in sex with the heart doctor. According to her, Matthews and the woman met through a dating app called Hinge. They communicated for several weeks before agreeing to meet for brunch. This was on Sunday, January 29th of 2023. The pair had breakfast, they had some mimosas, and then the two walked to Matthews' nearby home. So the woman told police the two played Jenga and they hung out in his hot tub. She said after some time, she began to feel poorly, and the last memory she had was being in that hot tub. Her next memory, she said, was nearly 10 hours later when she was at home and she's being treated by paramedics. She said shortly after the paramedics left, she discovered she had hickeys on her chest, but she didn't remember any interaction like that with Stephen. She also told police she decided to press forward with the criminal investigation after finding out that a family friend had gone on a date with Matthews several years earlier and had a similar experience. So the Denver police, they get this information and they contact Matthews. And he told the police that the woman had 1 or 2 mimosas and had another mimosa at his house while he was having a tequila. In his story, he said the woman had 2 shots of tequila and that they started kissing in the hot tub. And then he asked her if she wanted to go to bed. He didn't mean to go to sleep, right? She said that she did, and according to Matthews, they had consensual sex. Matthews told police after they were done having sex, she vomited, and he said that he helped her and she vomited 2 more times. He then said she later called for an Uber and went home. He even told the police he checked in with her later and she had been apologetic. So police, they didn't buy that story. And the district attorney of Denver charged Matthews with sexual assault with no consent, sexual assault on a helpless victim, and sex assault on an incapable victim. And all 3 of those are felony charges, y'all. So before we go any further, let's talk about this. First off, all of this may seem bizarre to you. It did to me. I mean, Stephen Matthews, he was a cardiologist. That means he's smart, means he works hard. And honestly, he was a good-looking guy. He had a ton of money. And yes, I know these days it's quite common for people to meet through dating apps, but it's just not your typical situation, I wouldn't think. When you're a heart doctor, a single guy probably could have his pick of ladies, I would imagine, that he could date. But I'll explain exactly why dating apps were his thing later on. So let's get back to it.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
He gets arrested on that charge, and he bails out the next day on a $50,000 bond. And his court date to enter his plea is set for May 16th of 2023. So on May 16th of 2023, he shows up for his court date, right? And he's to enter his plea at this court date. And he enters what you would expect him to enter, a not guilty plea. And he walks out of the courtroom. He heads to his car, and boom, he is arrested as soon as he gets outside. It seems when he was out of jail on bail, police were doing their thing. They were gathering evidence in that first case. And while in the process of doing so, they discovered this was not the first time Stephen Matthews had done this. Not even close. And Beth McCann, who is the district attorney for the 2nd Judicial District in Denver, Colorado, she releases a public statement following this second arrest. And this is really when this thing blew up. And it reads, Denver DA charges Stephen Matthews with assaulting, you ready for this? 10 victims. On March 22nd of 2023, Stephen Matthews, 35, was arrested and accused of sexually assaulting and drugging a female victim, and prosecutors with the DA's office charged him with 3 felony counts: sexual assault victim helpless, sexual assault no consent, and sexual assault victim incapable of appraising condition. Matthews was arrested again Monday morning as he left the courtroom. On April 18th, 2023, the Denver Police Department announced that investigators have received subsequent information indicating there may be other incidents involving Matthews and asked anyone who believed that they may be a victim to call the Sex Crimes Unit. That request generated calls from an additional 9 women. As a result of new victims coming forward, prosecutors will dismiss the original criminal case against Matthews and file a new criminal case alleging 16 felony counts involving a total of 10 female victims. The new case combines the charges from the original case with new counts after 9 additional women came forward. Matthews is now charged with 3 counts of sexual assault victim helpless, 1 count of sexual assault no consent, 2 counts of sexual assault overcoming will, drugging, 3 counts of sexual assault, victim incapable, and 7 counts of second-degree assault, drugging. And so that came out, and in the blink of an eye, this cardiologist, mind you, is now accused of being a serial rapist of the worst degree. Let me tell you how arrogant this asshole is. He renews his medical license in between finding out he's being arrested on 10 more charges. Now, this guy's smart. He's no dummy. He's a cardiologist, right? You can't convince me that he didn't think anybody else was going to come forward after he had done this to all these women, unless he's just super arrogant. Well, guess what? He's super arrogant. This came out in the Denver paper. A cardiologist was able to renew his license 1 month after Denver prosecutors charged him with multiple counts of sexual assault. On May 22nd, Stephen Matthews agreed not to practice right now, but only after 9 more women came forward. Police said the first victim came forward early this year. She's accused Matthew of sexually assaulting her after meeting him on that dating app, Hinge. On April 27th, the Department of Regulatory Agencies said Matthew sent in an application to renew his license, and the renewal took effect May 1st. I am shocked and dismayed as a person, as a physician, and as a colleague who practices in cardiology. That from medical expert Dr. Payel Kolai. Kolai said there needed to be more oversight, and he hoped to see changes in the system. She knows how the renewals work because she submitted her application last month. It's less than a 5-minute process, and it doesn't require me to talk about any of my criminal convictions or mental health changes, she said. Just a blanket sort of question, which is, have there ever been any changes that you would like to report? According to the notice sent by the agency, it's up to the applicant to list any arrest charges or convictions, and failure to disclose criminal history could constitute grounds for denial of an application. The doctor went on to say, which physician would voluntarily give up information when they haven't yet been convicted, only been charged, that they may put their license at risk, she said. On May 16th, the Denver DA charged Matthews again for assaulting 9 more women. And it kind of goes on from there. But how fucking arrogant is this guy? And how shocking is it that you can renew your medical license when you're under those sort of charges? And they don't even ask you. They ask you to voluntarily list anything in your life that's changed. Well, I submit to you that no one's going to volunteer that information. It wasn't long after that a previously sealed indictment for his arrest on the charges of multiple victims came out. And let me tell you how these affidavits for arrest work. Essentially, a police officer known as an affiant, right? The person asking for permission from a judge to arrest an individual goes to the judge with all the facts, and it's typed up. And I'm going to read you the affidavit concerning Stephen Matthews. It says on January 30th of 2023, victim, and y'all, it redacts the victim's name, obviously because these are sex crimes. So we're going to say victim A. Victim A went to University Hospital and underwent a sexual assault nurse examination for sexual assault perpetrated against her the previous night. At that time, she opted not to be identified. A week later, however, on February 6th of 2023, Victim A called the Denver Police Sex Crimes Unit and asked about filing a report for sexual assault. She was advised that she could come to headquarters and speak to a detective, which she elected to do. Victim A arrived at headquarters and met with Detective Andrew Como for a preliminary interview. Victim A reported she recently met with a man by the name of Stephen Matthews on a dating app called Hinge. They spoke over the app for a few weeks and agreed to meet. This was on January 29th of 2023. They met at approximately 10:15 a.m. at the On and Off Cafe for breakfast and mimosas. After breakfast, he invited her to his house and she accepted. They walked into his home, later determined to be 2233 West 30th Avenue in the city of Denver. Matthews' driver's license verified this address. She said the walk took around 5 minutes. Once at Dr. Matthews' home, they played the game Jenga and they later got in his hot tub. Victim A reported that Dr. Matthews made her a drink and that she began to feel poorly. Her next memory is being at her own home and talking to paramedics. She had no memory from about noon until about 9:40 p.m., and she has no idea how she got home. Once she regained her mental faculties, Victim A discovered she took an Uber home at or about 3:40 p.m. and that she called a friend and her sister during this time. She was subsequently told she was not making sense during those phone calls, so her sister came to her home to check on her, as did her friend and her mother. Upon arrival, her sister found Victim A in the shower in her underwear. Victim A learned she was acting erratically and did not know where she was. Paramedics responded to the residence, but Victim A declined treatment. Victim A reported during her interview that she later noticed she had hickeys on her chest, which she did not have prior to blacking out. Victim A did not and does not recall any sexual interaction with Dr. Matthews. The case was assigned to Eurofayette, which is the police officer requesting the arrest, for follow-up. Eurofayette spoke with, and it redacts 4 names, and learned that they observed Victim A to be disoriented and were concerned that she had been drugged. Eurofayette also learned that Dr. Matthews is a board-certified cardiologist and internal medicine physician. On February 14th of 2023, Eurofayette called Stephen Matthews on Valentine's Day. How about that for some unique justice? He was told the reason for the call and was asked if he would be willing to talk about Victim A. Dr. Matthews said he would, and he confirmed that the two met for breakfast and mimosas and then went to his home. At his house, he said that she had a larger mimosa and 2 shots of tequila. They went to the hot tub and she continued to drink her mimosa there. He reported that they started kissing and that he invited her to bed. He said they had consensual sex, and after that, she vomited several times. He offered her water, which she declined, and then offered her a shower, which she accepted.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+. All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Dr. Matthews stated that after a while, she was doing better and she called for an Uber and went home. On March 22nd of 2023, Dr. Matthews was arrested on 3 counts of sexual assault against victim A. On March 27th of 2023, your affiant received a phone call from victim B. And victim B stated she had learned from a social media post that women were reporting issues with Dr. Matthews. It's already getting around, y'all. And she wanted to share her story. She said she met Dr. Matthews on Hinge, and they went on a date on January 25th of 2023. They met at a bar, and he was having tequila shots. She had 1 alcoholic drink and then agreed to return to his place. She said she used the restroom, and when she came out, he had a drink for her. He told her it was tequila and soda. She had part of the drink and was off balance. She remembered him filming her at one point. She remembered him kissing her, and then she blacked out. She described that she has very little memory of what happened afterward, but she remembers leaving without her shoes and that she had to go back and get them. She took an Uber home and got violently ill. She reported that she believes Dr. Matthews sexually assaulted her, but has no memory of it. Since Dr. Matthews' arrest on March 22nd of 2023, your affiant is aware that his arrest has received media attention, with several news stories airing after he was formally charged on March 28th of 2023. Since that time, several other women have came forward to report being drugged or sexually assaulted by Dr. Matthews. On April 27th of 2023, your affiant spoke with victim C. That date, victim C came to the Denver Police Department headquarters and reported that on October 30th of 2019, she met Dr. Matthews on the dating app Tinder. Dr. Matthews invited her to brunch, and she met him in the lobby around 10 a.m. They had mimosas with a meal, and then he invited her back to his place to use the hot tub. She accepted, and they walked back to an apartment on 20th and Logan. Once there, victim C commented that the apartment looked like it belonged to a woman. Dr. Matthews said that he and his girlfriend had broken up, and she was not there. Dr. Matthews made her a drink, and victim C states that after the drink, things became blurry. She reported remembering only bits and pieces of what happened. She was in the hot tub, but does not remember leaving it. She recalls being in Dr. Matthews' bathroom, vomiting in a toilet, and then being curled up in the bed in a fetal position. She next remembers being in her apartment with him, but not how they got there. She went to bed and woke up to Dr. Matthews having sex with her. The next morning, she woke up and took him home. She recalls that he asked her to drop him off away from his home. A couple of weeks later, after she told Dr. Matthews she would not meet with him again, get this, get ready, y'all. He sent her photos of her naked in the hot tub. Holy shit. Your affiant spoke with victim D on April 24th of 2023. Victim D stated she had a sexual assault nurse examination completed in 2020 after being sexually assaulted. At that time, she elected to proceed as an anonymous report and then changed to a medical report only. Victim D stated she is now coming forward to identify her assailant as Stephen Matthews. She said they had matched on Hinge, and he agreed to meet her at a park in the Uptown area and to walk their dogs. That park was Benedict Fountain Park at 20th and Logan. He asked her if she wanted to watch the sunset at his place, and she went there with him. Computer checks showed Dr. Matthews living at 1935 Logan Street at that time. She said he took her to the rooftop area and then went to get things from his apartment. She said he was gone for a long period of time, but eventually he came back with a drink for her in a large cup and a Jenga game. She said that she had noticed that there were dares written on the Jenga pieces, that they appeared to be in different people's handwriting. When she drew a blank piece, Dr. Matthew asked her to write a dare on it. She took a sip or two of the drink and said that it tasted bad. She eventually told him she needed to leave and said she would help him take things back to his apartment. Once inside, she said she was going to leave, but he asked her to stay for just 5 more minutes. She agreed and sat down. Victim D reported that her next memory is crawling across his bedroom floor. She was naked and yelling at him, asking what he did.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at Bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
She said she got dressed, got her dog, and fled the apartment. She called her sister-in-law to pick her up, and she was taken to the hospital for a sexual assault nurse examination. On April 19th of 2023, Euro Fayette received a call from Victim E. Victim E reported a few years ago, somewhere between the fall of 2020 and the spring of 2021, she met Dr. Matthews on Hinge. He suggested she come to the hospital so they could hook up there and that many other women had done it. She declined, but eventually agreed to meet him at his residence in uptown Denver. He talked about liking BDSM and choking and said that she would not want to know what type of porn he likes to watch. Victim E stated that everything happened on this occasion was consensual. However, she went over to Dr. Matthews' residence a second time. On that occasion, Dr. Matthews gave her a drink, which she believed may have been tequila. After that, she blacked out and does not remember anything at that point. Her next memory was waking up at her home. She said that she had planned on having sex with him, but did not remember anything. On April 21st of 2023, a Fayette spoke with Victim F. Victim F called and said that she had been with Dr. Matthews in the past. She said that she went to his residence, which she later said was in the 2200 block of West 30th Avenue, the top left unit of the building, on January 22nd of 2022, because she had agreed to watch his house and dog while he went out of town. On that date, she went to his house to get a key, and he offered her a shot of tequila. After that, he wanted to eat, so they went to a restaurant. She thought he may have bought her a drink there as well. Victim F reported that she began to feel ill and went to the restroom, where she became violently ill. She could not keep her head up, and the restaurant staff wanted to call 911. She called a roommate for a ride and left. Victim F said that her roommate told her she was completely incoherent. Victim F said she was not sexually assaulted, but believes that Dr. Matthews drugged her. On April 20th of 2023, Euro Fayette spoke with Victim G. There's so many victims, y'all. I'm losing track of where I am in the alphabet. Victim G called and said that she matched with Matthews on the dating app Tinder. In May of 2022, they went on a hike and then went back to his place, which she later said was off of Wyandotte. and she thought it was possibly between 34th and 36th Avenue. She described the block as having a church on one corner and a restaurant on the other. She said they drank tequila, and she only remembers having 2 or 3 shots. They played Jenga, and then she remembered him waking her up at 8 p.m. and telling her she needed to leave. She asked him what happened, and he told her that she passed out and that she must have been tired. Victim G said that she was clothed when he woke her, and she did not have evidence that anything happened, but there was a block of about 4 hours she could not remember. I mean, this is crazy, y'all. On April 19th of 2023, victim H called the Denver Police Department Sex Crimes Hotline and spoke with Detective Ruben Gennardo. Victim H reported that she had matched with Dr. Matthews on the dating app Tinder, and they agreed to meet. On May 25th of 2022, they met at a park around 2 p.m. After hanging out there, Dr. Matthews said that the view from his apartment was good at that time of day and invited her back to his place to play games. She stated that she drove him and his dog to his place, which was only a few blocks from the park, and once there, she had at least 2 shots of an alcoholic beverage. Victim H reported that she and Dr. Matthews played a game, and the next thing she remembered, she was waking up at 1 a.m. in his bed. She reported having a vague memory of him being on top of her and kissing her. On April 19th of 2023, Eurofayant spoke with Victim I. Victim I called and reported she went on a date with Dr. Matthews on February 5th of 2023. And y'all, that's after he was fucking arrested the first time. But I'll continue on. After they met on Hinge, she said that he invited her back to his residence at Low High near 30th Street and that he wanted to play Jenga with her, hang out in the hot tub, and drink mimosas. He also told her that she could bring her dog. Once there, Victim I reported that Dr. Stevens tried to get her to drink something he had made, but she declined. She said that when they played Jenga, there were things written on the Jenga pieces, like in the game Truth or Dare. She said that he got touchy when they were in the hot tub. She began to feel very uncomfortable and decided to leave. She said that she subsequently realized that he was the same person who had sexually assaulted her friend 3 years earlier. On May 1st of 2023, Eurofayant spoke to Victim J. Victim J called to report that she had gone on a date with Dr. Matthews. She said they met on Tinder in May or June of 2022, and he asked her to come to Denver to meet. They were going to have coffee at a coffee shop near his house and take their dogs to a nearby park. After meeting, he invited her to his home, and they walked there. They played ladder ball. I've never heard of that. And he then invited her up to his home to play Jenga. She agreed, and while playing, she noticed that the pieces had dares written on them, like, take a shot. She remembered taking one shot and may have had a part of a white claw. After that, things got fuzzy. She did not know what happened, but she ended up with bite marks on her arms. She said she had met with him at about 11:30 a.m., but did not feel able to drive home, so she had to spend the night. Based on these facts, Eurofayant is requesting an arrest warrant. Holy shit, y'all. Is that not crazy? And you notice his MO is the same in every one of these cases. Let's play Jenga. And why did he have him play Jenga? Because he had the dares written on those. One of those dares being take a shot. And the shot had the drug in it, right? What a fucking psycho. So it's not looking good for Dr. Matthews, right? Well, it would get worse, much, much worse before the dust settled. Dr. Matthews would become the most prolific serial rapist in the history of the state of Colorado. So more information is discovered when he shows up to enter his plea on the second arrest. And that was on October 5th of 2023. And the Denver newspaper read like this. A Denver cardiologist accused of drugging and sexually assaulting women he met through dating apps was arraigned on more than 50 felony counts on Friday. Dr. Stephen Matthews, 35, a board-certified cardiologist and internal medicine physician, pleaded not guilty to 51 counts, including sexual assault and drugging. Matthews was first arrested in March on 3 counts of sexual assault, and I've already told y'all all of that. In the initial case, a woman told police she met Matthews on Hinge and blacked out while on a date with him. Douglas Combe, one of Matthews' attorneys, said in April that Matthews was innocent and claimed there was a failure to fully investigate the case. The accuser's story simply don't add up. Police omitted from their arrest affidavit many details that contradict her claim of no consent, and he's talking about the first victim. Matthews was released with custody on a $50,000 bond for the March arrest. Following media reports on his arrest in that case, more women reported being drugged and or sexually assaulted. He was arrested again in May after 9 more women came forward, with most meeting him on Hinge or Tinder as far back as 2019. Several of the women reported feeling ill on dates with Matthews at his home and then blacking out. One reported her next memory was crawling across his bedroom floor naked and yelling at him. Another woman told police she had become ill while on a date at a restaurant. Matthews is being held on a $5 million bond at a Denver jail and is scheduled to next appear in court on December 28th for a motions hearing. The arraignment comes after a judge ruled last month that there was enough evidence for Matthews to stand trial in the case. Stephen Berg with the Berg Simpson law firm, which is representing some of the women in civil court, said that he planned to file a lawsuit once criminal proceedings are over, alleging Matthews was never removed from the dating apps despite being reported for sexual assault. And that's what I was wanting to get at here. They plan to name the Match Group, a parent company of Hinge and Tinder, as a defendant. Generally, I would just say that he was being reported early on in the process and on the dating app for years after being reported as a rapist. So this sumbitch, people were getting in touch with Hinge and Tinder and saying, hey, this asshole, I think he raped me. I blacked out, so I don't have any proof, but I blacked out should be enough, right? Yet they didn't even cancel this dude's account after being reported. But y'all, 50 felony counts against this guy. So not only now is the city of Denver and the state of Colorado just reeling over all of this, but with this new information, the story is catching on nationally. I mean, this is a damn heart doctor, right? Well, as I see happen all the time, the more popular the case, the more details will leak. And some pretty sick details regarding this asshole emerged. And one article that caught my eye referenced the use of his dog in his sick game. And here's how that article read from a Denver newspaper on October 13th of 2023. The attorney for victims of a Denver cardiologist accused of meeting women on dating apps, then drugging and raping them, says there could be upwards of 60 victims involved in a civil case against the doctor. Dr. Stephen Matthews, 36, faces 51 felony counts in a criminal court in connection with 13 victims. He has entered a not guilty plea. If y'all notice, those victims went up because more people were coming forward. Prosecutors say that as early as 2019, Matthews would meet with women he met on dating apps and then slip something into their drink. The victims would often black out or become disoriented, which led to them being unable to remember most of the encounters with Matthews. Police arrested him in March of 2023, and he is now being held in a $5 million bond, with his criminal trial expected to get underway in March of 2024. Stephen Berg, representing dozens of victims in the civil case, said he would build trust and give them a drink, usually close to his home, and then drug them. They would be very, very impaired and not know what's going on, and he would sexually assault them. He was savvy and able to build trust. He'd say, let's meet in a public place and talk about his dog. and then oftentimes use that as an excuse to head back to his house or apartment. He would say he needed to walk his dog or feed his dog. Berg said the women who didn't know what had happened to them heard stories from other victims, and then things started to click into place for them. They wanted to put this all behind them, but now they want to make sure and stand up and provide some change so this doesn't happen again. You know, quite frankly, every time a story is run on this, there are more and more survivors coming forward saying, oh my gosh, I'm hearing about this for the first time, and I want to do my part to make sure this doesn't happen. Some of these survivors are going to have to talk about some of the most personal things in their life in a public setting. I'm inspired by their strength, etc. Match Group owns about 80% of the online dating market share, and they own a number of specific apps, including Hinge and Tinder. And so, you know, one of the failures of Match Group was when Matthew was reported as a rapist, he continued to be on their website for multiple years afterward. Berg said the report was made by a victim of an assault, but it was before criminal charges were filed. The victim was told Matthews would be removed from the app, but Berg says that didn't happen. What's been reported is horrible and has no place on our platforms. That from Match Group. So there you have it. The whole nation at this point knows about all this. Now, Dr. Matthews, y'all, he lived when he was arrested in a very upscale apartment building, not a house. So if you're doing this sort of thing, it's probably a little harder to hide it with people coming and going, right? Especially, remember that affidavit I just read you, how many people were coming and going, how many ladies. What would the neighbors think? Well, in this next clip, his neighbor in that building describes what she saw and thought. Listen to this.
Definitely had a reputation of being a player. Just girl after girl after girl. Almost every time I came home, there was, girl shoes outside his apartment. Every time we saw him either at the pool with a different girl, kind of the foot traffic in and out was just girls in, girls out.
Now, as time went on, it got worse for this neighbor and very disturbing. One night, that same neighbor, she walks out of her apartment, and right in front of his door, she saw what she describes in the next clip, and even took a picture, which she supplied to police.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
And here's what she sounded like describing that.
Face down, topless, completely passed out. I just came across her, and again, there was something in me that made me even think to take a photo to begin with.
In this picture, y'all, I've seen it. It's shocking. This lady is passed out, nothing but a thong, sprawled out in front of this asshole's front door. I mean, how arrogant did this guy have to be just to leave the girl in front of his front door like that in an apartment building? So the trial starts for Stephen Matthews. This is on July 15th of 2024, and there were no TV crews allowed in for this one, which I think was the right decision. These are sexual assault victims, and they deserve to have their identity protected. Now, during this trial, many of the women testified about their experience, and I'm going to reference an article now that covers the testimony of one of these women who recounted her date with Stephen Matthews. A woman who met Stephen Matthews on a dating app and subsequently got together with him in 2023 testified Wednesday in a Denver courtroom that she believed the cardiologist spiked the drink he made for her at home. She said the drink left her incapacitated, hindered her ability to walk and speak, and that after drinking with the doctor, she had little memory of what happened next. She testified what happened left her traumatized and upset. The woman who appeared Wednesday met Matthews on the dating app Hinge. They met at a restaurant where she had tequila and a mixed drink. Following that, she went with Matthews to his townhome where she was offered tequila, which she did not see him prepare. She said after ingesting a small portion of the drink, she became incapacitated and said, "He put me in a headlock position I couldn't escape from and kissed me." Under direct examination, the woman said she lost control of her body, the ability to walk and speak, and does not have memories of large portions of the night. She took an Uber home, threw up in the car, and recalled waking up on the bathroom floor with vomit in the bathtub. The woman testified she had never had a reaction like that from drinking alcohol. The woman said she felt nauseous, dizzy, confused, afraid, and drove herself to an urgent care facility the day after a date, seeking a drug test for a possible date rape drug. The facility did not have the material for testing and suggested she go to the hospital, but she declined. "I was feeling traumatized and upset, and I wanted to be at home where I felt safe," she said. She said what happened really scared her. She later reported what happened to the Hinge dating app, filed an anonymous complaint with the Colorado Medical Board, and told her primary care physician what happened. When police searched Matthew's cell phone following his arrest, they found a video he had taken of the very woman doing a cartwheel in his townhouse on the night in question. "I don't have any memory of that moment in time or the video taken," she testified. Under cross-examination by Matthews' defense team, the woman was asked about a fall she had taken a week or two prior to the date. She said she had slipped on some ice while walking her dog, fell and hit her head. The defense seemed to be trying to suggest her symptoms on that night in question could be traced back to the earlier fall. Jurors also asked questions about the fall. "Was it a hard fall? Did you receive bruising or swelling?" "No," responded the witness. Another juror asked if Matthews had permission to take the pictures or video of her, and she responded, "I did not give him permission." The trial is scheduled to run through the end of next month, and Matthews is chasing 38 charges and is being held in jail on a $5 million bond. Wow. So something else I found interesting in this case is that the mother of one of the victims was able to tell her story on the stand during the trial. I just could not imagine dealing with this as a parent of two girls myself. And it was covered in the Denver paper. And here's what that experience sounded like. The mother of a woman who went on a date with Dr. Stephen Matthews testified Thursday morning that after seeing her daughter following the date, she suspected there was a big problem. "I'm feeling like she's been drugged and sexually assaulted," the mother testified, recounting her feelings at that time. "She was not making sense. She was so dazed." The testimony came as part of the prosecution's case against the Denver cardiologist, who is facing 38 felony charges for allegedly drugging 11 women and then sexually assaulting 9 of them. Matthews has pleaded not guilty to the charges. The women generally met Matthews via dating apps like Hinge and Tinder, but say after going on a date with him, they believe he tampered with their drinks, leaving them with memory loss, in some cases illness, and physical signs that they had been assaulted. One woman who met Matthews on Hinge said that she went on a brunch date with him in January of 2023. She said after mimosas at a restaurant, she then went to his West Denver home where she had another mimosa that she said Matthews prepared. The woman said she soon began feeling poorly and lost memory the rest of the date. Matthews later claimed the woman agreed to have consensual sex with him and then vomited multiple times. Her mother, who has been a nurse for 42 years, said on the stand her daughter was not making sense in a phone conversation and she went to her daughter's apartment. She looked really dazed, didn't know where she was. She said her daughter was foggy and it was terrifying. Her mother took her to the hospital for a rape examination, which the mother described as horrific, sheer anguish, unbearable. She said her daughter told a nurse, "I think I was drugged and sexually assaulted." The daughter later said she discovered hickeys on her chest, but did not recall having the kind of physical interaction with Matthews. On cross-examination, Matthews' attorney Douglas Combe raised the issue of alleged victims' use of marijuana, which showed up in scientific testing. Combe pressed the woman's mother and her daughter's drinking habits, which the mother said were minimal. And that's pretty pathetic, y'all. I mean, I know he has to do his job as a defense attorney, but he's basically saying because this girl smoked marijuana, maybe that's why she forgot she got raped. Disgusting. In earlier Thursday testimony, a friend of the alleged victim who saw her after the date said she had seen the woman drunk before, but that this was different. "I never saw her disoriented like this. It was clear to me that something was wrong." So that is a mother's perspective on that. So the prosecutors rest their case and the defense rests their case. And on August 12th of 2024, Dr. Stephen Matthews is found guilty on 35 of 38 counts of rape against 11 different women. And here is how that read in the Denver paper. A former Denver cardiologist charged with drugging and sexually assaulting nearly a dozen women was found guilty on Tuesday on all but 3 counts that were brought against him. Stephen Matthews was convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting multiple women and was originally arrested in March of 2023 after a woman first reported to Denver police she was drugged during a brunch date and sexually assaulted at his home. 2 months later, Matthews was arrested for a second time after 9 more women came forward with similar allegations, reporting that they met Matthews online and after agreeing to meet for drinks, lost large portions of their memory. The allegations date back to 2019. In total, 11 women came forward with allegations of Matthews drugging them. 9 of them reported sexual assaults to the police. Facing 38 charges in total, prosecutors presented dozens of witnesses and hundreds of pieces of evidence to the jury. Stephen Matthews had a deliberate and very particular way of identifying and selecting the targets that would eventually perpetrate against him, said a prosecutor during closing arguments. This is an obvious case of a man who feels entitled to perpetrate against women for his own benefit by robbing them of memory, by robbing them of bodily autonomy, and by impairing their memories only to have them come in and testify and criticize them for the fact that their memories don't exist. The defense argued that the prosecution's case lacked evidence. Merely getting up here and telling a story, it's evidence for you to consider, but it's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt unless you think it is. It's just an accusation. It's just an allegation, that from the defense attorney. Don't let the volume of accusations override your common sense and your reasonableness. During the verdict Tuesday, Matthews was found guilty on 35 of 38 counts. His bond was also revoked following a request from prosecutors. So they're not going to allow him to bond out and then come back to get sentenced, which is good because he'd probably haul ass, right? Stephen Matthews took advantage of nearly a dozen women in the most egregious way imaginable. And for that, he will now pay a significant price, said Denver DA Beth McCann in a prepared statement. I hope today's verdict provides a measure of comfort to all the victims whose courage throughout this case should be an inspiration to all of us. And sentencing for Dr. Stephen Matthews is scheduled for October 25th of 2024 at 1:30 p.m. And y'all, it was so bad that it took the judge 19 minutes just to read out all of the guilty verdicts against Dr. Stephen Matthews. This cardiologist, who I'm sure worked very hard to get his education, at the age of 36, threw it all away. And in the process, became the worst serial rapist in Colorado history and one of the worst in United States history. So I told y'all at the start that I had my own idea of why Stephen Matthews chose dating apps to lure his victims. And for me, I think he looked at dating apps as a way to commit these acts without having an emotional connection to the victim. He didn't know them on any level. And so in his mind, he could do all of these things and not feel guilty for it. I also think that he was such a narcissist that he felt that if these women were on dating apps, that they were more desperate for a partner than someone who was not, and looked at these women as easy targets. Now, single ladies out there, I'm talking to you right now because I love y'all. Y'all are listening to my podcast, and I really do care about every single person that listens, that takes the time to listen to me when I'm behind a microphone. So I'm talking to you ladies, single ladies. Be extra careful on dating apps. This is where these sick assholes are lurking. Unfortunately, technology has made it much easier for sexual predators to find their prey. Most of the people on these apps are good people, right? But I promise you, there's some sickos on there just like this one. And if you do meet someone, meet them in a public setting, and sometimes that won't even save you. Dr. Matthews, he always met these women in public settings. But never go back to their house. Never leave an unattended drink around them, and never accept a drink from them. If you meet someone through a dating app, just assume they have bad intentions and make them prove otherwise. The good ones that are worth it, they don't mind having to prove to you that they're good peeps. So I will definitely update all of you once this piece of shit gets sentenced. And before I get out of here, another episode of Murdaugh series is headed your way on Tuesday. Patreon members, y'all get that early and commercial free in the next few days. And on that subject, our top tier level global celebrity members, y'all got an awesome quarterly gift headed your way the first week in October. I'm going to start shipping those out. So be on the lookout for that. And until next time, for Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.
Listen up, folks. Time could be running out to lock in a historic yield at Public.com. As of September 23rd, 2024, you can lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account. But here's the thing. The Federal Reserve just announced a big rate cut, and the plan is for more rate cuts this year and in 2025 as well. That's good news if you're looking to buy a home, but it might not be so good for the interest you earn on your cash. So, if you want to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high yield and investment grade bonds, you might want to act fast. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. And once you lock in your yield, you can earn regular interest payments even as rates decline. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. But hurry, your yield is not locked in until you invest. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for 50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.